Today I have with me Steph Wicker from Simply Kids. Hi Steph.
Happy to be here.
And we've been talking about the wonderful world of toddlers, and in particular, today we're talking about self-esteem. So I know with Steph we've done her wonderful expert series where we talk about child behaviour, but I guess for me it's always trying to understand what does self-esteem really mean, or how do we see it in our kids, and how do we know we're setting them up in the right way? So I'd love to know.
Yeah. So this is a wonderful question, and it's a great opportunity for us to dive a little bit deeper behind what self-esteem actually means, because we see it everywhere. It's kind of one of those like hot buzzwords right now that are all over social media.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Same thing as resilience,
Yes.
growth mindset, right? They're everywhere. And self-esteem is the crux of those things.
Right.
So that's why it's such an important conversation for us to have. So what is it actually? What does it mean?
Yes.
And then how does it show up in behavior? Which I think is what deep down we all want to know.
Yes.
Does my child have a healthy self-esteem? Ultimately, that's the question. And we're like, how do I answer this question? So let's break this down first. Let's understand what self-esteem actually is. And then as we go, we can actually start to see, oh, now I get it. Now I see where that shows up in my child's behavior. So the first big component of a healthy self-esteem is your child's autonomy. And this is that phase they go through. It begins around 14 to 18 months, depending
You'll know
on
when
the
it
child.
kicks in.
Oh, you will. This is where the terrible twos comes from, right?
Yes.
As soon as children start to explore where their control begins and ends, that's their autonomy kicking in, right? And it looks like defiance. It looks like tantrums. It can look like aggression, disobedience, all of those things that we flag as problem behavior. Most of the time, that is your child exploring and defining their own autonomy.
Yes.
And so often, what their brain does naturally will lead to that healthy self-esteem.
Right.
We just need to stay out of the way.
Okay.
Because like I said, when children are exploring these things for themselves, it looks like running across the street when you're saying, hold my hand.
Yes.
It comes across as disobedience,
Yes.
right? And when a child disobeys, how do we usually respond to that?
Yeah, we
Cut that out. Listen to me. yeah, stop it. Right? Of course we do.
Yeah.
You know, and we have that natural draw, usually to keep them safe.
Yes.
And sometimes also so we just feel more comfortable. We feel more secure, like we're doing a better job. If they listen better to us, then that means we're a better parent.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, but making that distinction between your child exploring their autonomy is so important, because it's a natural, necessary process of their development.
And to remind yourself that that's what's happening in those moments.
That's right.
Because I know this morning, you know, I had a complete meltdown. He was just, and I had to stop for a minute and go, actually, this is him just trying to let us know that this is something he's got control over. It's his body, and he's trying to make that decision.
Yes, and it's not personal. And I think that sometimes that's what we forget.
Yes.
Is that behavior, especially during these early ages, is not personal. And a lot of the time it's also not intentional. You know, children are just responding to the way that their development dictates that they respond to things.
Yes.
So that's the first big part of self-esteem, is your child exploring their autonomy and us recognizing the opportunities when they arise. And rather than seeing them as problem behavior, recognizing that your child is exploring the wonderful world of their own autonomy, which is a necessary part of their development.
Right.
So that's the first big thing, right? All right, so the second big thing is they're exploring their identity. Who am I?
Yeah.
What is my role? What is my significance? And this can show up as over-competitiveness. This shows up as sibling rivalry.
Yes, I've
You're
seen that.
holding your baby, and here comes your 3-year-old. You know, oh, mommy, I hurt my finger, when you know they haven't, right? They just want those extra cuddles. They want that extra time. And it's like, oh, my child is so jealous of mommy baby time.
Yes.
And we put those labels onto those behaviors. In actuality, your child is trying to figure out their own role, their own significance. You know, so where do I fall into this? You know, what is my place in our family, with my brothers and sisters, with my mom and dad, at school, with my friends? All of these different environments that they are in, they're going to be exploring and searching for their identity. And because they can't express that to us, it would be great if they could, but they're not able to express these things to us. So again, they show up as problem behaviors. So more often than not, if you want to know, does my child have a healthy self-esteem? It's really just monitoring, what do you know about self-esteem? Are you setting up your child for success in these areas?
Yes.
Are you supporting the process, or are you unintentionally hindering the process by taking things personal and using those unnecessary shaming and blaming around those difficult behaviors?
Yeah.
And then the third and final thing, and probably the hardest of the three, as if they're not hard enough, the third one is your child exploring their capability.
Right.
This is where they're going to be doing some serious risk taking, and it's going to be stressful. It is, but you've been warned. And again, natural and necessary part of their development.
Okay.
And so often we jump in, overcorrection, or maybe we give them the solution before they have a chance to feel uncomfortable. We just don't want them to feel uncomfortable.
Well, if this is something as simple as, I know I've heard you say before, they want to drink on their own in a cup for the first time, but it's going to end up all over the floor.
Yes, that's the perfect example. So they're exploring their capability. And I know that the temptation is to be like, well, here, if you want to walk, have a bottle.
Yeah.
Or you need to sit down with that, rather than letting them actually explore the situation.
Or see, I told you were going to spill it.
Yes, exactly. So something that we can do instead is, if we know that they're at that age where they want to explore these things, rather than getting them a cup of juice, which is going to leave a stain, maybe give them a glass of water.
Okay.
And then let them explore their capabilities. So sometimes it's just being mindful of where they are developmentally and what we can do that that opens up the pathway for them and encourages the process rather than hinders it.
Yeah, I love that. It's very important. And just to finally on that point about allowing them to take risks, as you said, to not, see, I told you were going to fall over and you were going to hurt yourself, and make it a negative experience.
Yeah, that's right.
Just do you suggest that we just explain to them that, when you run fast and you're not looking, sometimes you'll fall over. So it's important that you,
Yeah, absolutely. So the more that, and again, I think that this is an unintentional behavior that we as adults, do a lot of the times when we're around children, is that we shame them for that risk taking that we actually really want them to do.
Yes.
It's really good for them. Children need to experience discomfort in order to learn.
Okay.
We all do. That's true with all of us. We need to experience discomfort, but you know what? Our brains don't like it.
Yeah.
Our brains don't like feeling uncomfortable, and our brains don't like seeing our children feel uncomfortable. So we get reactive, we get overprotective, we get responsive. Sometimes that comes out as shame, shaming your child, like you were just explaining. Sometimes it comes out as blame, like, I have told my husband 1,000 times, right? And we start to blame the people closest to us, right?
Yes.
So it comes out in a lot of different ways, but ultimately it does come from love, and it does come from that draw to keep them safe and secure. And again, it's just monitoring our responses and our reactions to things that are necessary parts of their development.
I love that. Thank you so much,
Oh,
Steph.
you're welcome.